Good evening and welcome to Space Oddities. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Andy and I'm joined this evening by some of our normal panel. Apologies, Rachel won't be here this week. She has other commitments that she couldn't get out of. So unfortunately, we won't have a viewers gallery this week. So those of you who have sent your images in this week, sorry about that. I have seen them coming in. We will, of course, be showing them next week on the programme. So tonight I'm joined by Roger. How are you, Roger?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. And we have Bernard.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
And we have Mary.
Hello.
And we did have Daz, but he appears to have gone. Daz is still having connection problems.
Yeah, Daz was kicked out once more. I blame Mary for that.
Yeah, I think it was Mary. It's always women. Have you noticed this? It was Rachel who kicked him off, and now it's Mary. So something going on there. We'll have to investigate.
Yeah.
Anyway, Daz is investigating how he can improve his connection from where he is in the middle of nowhere. And
connection with woman, is that what you said? He needs to improve?
No, but it's a thought. It's a thought. Now you mention it. So anyway, thank you for being here. I'd like to acknowledge the support of Rother Valley Optics, our sponsor. So thanks very much to Rother Valley Optics. If you are thinking of buying a telescope or binoculars or any sort of optical equipment, Rother Valley Optics are the guys to go to. And thank you for your support. And well, what have we got for you today? We have got Bernard, who's going to be giving us a presentation about planetary missions, which we're all looking forward to. Mary's going to be talking about a very special sketching event, Sketchily, that is coming up. And we've got a few other odds and ends lined up as well. For those of you that have had calendars sent to them, apparently some of them haven't arrived. They have all been sent out. But apparently, so they tell me in the UK, there are problems with well, everything really, but particularly the post at the moment. So please, if your calendars do not arrive within the next couple of days, do let us know. And obviously, if they don't arrive, we will, of course, be offering you a full refund. It's been a bit of a sorry tale with these calendars, as you probably know. But anyway, if you don't get your calendar very soon, do drop us a line and let us know at spaceodditieslive@gmail.com, spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. And we apologize on behalf of the Royal Mail for messing things up. Okay, well, let's get started. And, well, he is known to millions as Mr. Stargazing, and he is, of course, Roger Stargazing. So, Roger, what have you got for us this week?
Well, we've got the usual suspects and some updates on the current situation with the comet and some new images from the James Webb.
Woo-hoo.
Okay. Ooh, there we go.
Yeah,
Yes.
Exciting stuff.
So here we go for the week of the 16th to the 22nd of January. And obviously, for those who don't look forward to a full moon, we've got the new moon at the weekend coming up. And hooray for that. But during the weekend, we've also got Mercury at its highest in the morning sky. But on the Friday, Jupiter is at perihelion. So
Oh, really?
it will be, yes, there we go. There you are. And also at the weekend, on the Sunday, we've got a close approach between Venus and Saturn in the night sky, not physically. That would be amazing if that happened.
Absolutely. When was that, Roger?
That would be on the Sunday, the 22nd.
22nd, right. So watch the night sky for that then.
Which part of the night sky would that include?
The cloudy bit.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, sure. Sorry. Moving on. The cloudy bit.
Right. As you may see on this slide, here we have the last quarter of the moon, which was, well, I did that last night during the wee hours while I was trying to image the comet. But by that time, it clouded over. So there we go. Another disappointment.
Beautiful, Roger. Well done.
Yes.
There's something about your moonshots, Roger, that I find them absolutely fascinating.
Yes. And today, with some absolutely fantastic clear skies, I've got this image of the sun today, and it's a very spotty sun. I mean, look at that huge sunspot down below, which is 3190, I believe, is its technical term for designation on there. And it's certainly getting more active again as it progresses towards the solar maximum.
That's
And,
how many times is that as big as the planet Earth? That big.
Well, that big one, I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll probably grab a few Jupiters in there, I would have thought.
So probably about the centre bit, I reckon, thinking from the solar ruler that I use, is probably about 5 Earths there in the umbra.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big boy. And then the sun's been kicking out X-class and M-class flares like nobody's business. There've been aurora alerts going off all week. So yeah, that big one is in the Earth strike zone now. So let's keep our fingers crossed for an X-class flare and some aurora.
Wow.
So
That's
the
amazing.
few more days that'll be right at the centre,
Yeah.
pointing directly at us. So
Fingers
see
crossed.
how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've still got the comet gradually working its way northward, and this is at midnight tonight. And as you can see, it's between Hercules and Bootes, and is heading up towards Ursa Minor, which will be later in the month, and getting fairly close to Polaris, which I will show you its route from tonight up to the 29th of the month. And as you can see, it's getting quite close up to the Polaris, so it will be visible for most of the nights from just a few more days away. So we should all be able to get our binoculars out and start to spot it.
Are there any predictions for its magnitude when it gets to Polaris?
Well, it's below 6, but
Oh, right.
I mean, on the table on the slide here on the 29th.
Oh, yes, I see. Sorry, I didn't
magnitude
see
5.6. So
5.6.
we there are possibilities.
Just on the cusp of naked eye, if you know where you're looking.
Yeah.
And
Providing
you've got a dark, cloudless sky, of course.
a low enough Bortle number to be able to see that. But using a pair of binoculars or a telescope will enhance the details. And this is when I got through the night of the 10th and the 11th. The reason it looks like it's a picture from the Matrix is because the cloud cover came over and blanked out some of the shots. So that's why it's looking a bit intermittent on the photograph. But I've still got the color there, and you can see the ion trail coming out a little bit. Hopefully now it's gone round the sun, it appears to be becoming a bit more obvious now, the ion trail. So if I can get it tonight, I will, and see how that goes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to your shots, Roger, as the week goes by. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So in the night sky, we have from 10 o'clock this week. If you look directly south, you've got Orion right above you. Well, to the south anyway. Mars is still quite nicely easily seen, and Jupiter now rapidly towards the west setting. So that's a disappointment, but there we are. Mars is now fading away in size as well. So we'll have to concentrate on the Messier Marathon coming up in the next month or so, with, as you can see, Leo coming up into our night sky. So that should be interesting.
I was walking through the forest on the way home last night, and it was pitch black, and Jupiter was just visible setting through the trees, and it was so beautiful. Yeah. And it was the only thing that you could see. The rest of the sky was completely cloudy, and the only thing you could see was Jupiter off towards the horizon. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's usually the other way around, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Obviously, as the night progresses, we will completely lose it. But we've had a batch of new James Webb images, and I'm just showing a few of these to to our viewers tonight. We've got AU Microscopii, which is one of the southern constellations, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've obviously got some interesting flaring out from an object there.
I thought that looked more like a dust disk viewed
Yeah.
from the edge, but
It
obviously,
Yeah.
Did we know what it is, Roger?
I haven't actually read up on the details of this, but obviously, if you go onto the website to have a look at the James Webb, it gives you all the complete background details of what the images were and where they are, and all the details of.
We must be looking at a planetary disk there.
Yeah,
I would
that's
have
my
thought
impression
so.
as well.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
Apparently, it is a circumstellar disk of dust.
There we are.
It's a variable star.
Ah, right.
And an interesting view of the Small Magellanic Cloud.
Wow, never seen it like that before.
No, well, you wouldn't, would you?
No, absolutely not. Well, no, quite. That is amazing.
It looks almost like an X-ray, stripping all the other stars out to see the bones of the cloud, so to speak, and some quite interesting features there.
There's so much going on this picture. It looks even more like an artistic picture than a real picture in that sense. Wow.
It looks like one of Mary's sketches.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right. Of course, there's been another discovery of an exoplanet, LHS 475b. And we've got some details of the wavelength and also its transit light curve from this new planet. I don't know exactly what the estimated size of the planet is compared to the sun, but its star.
It's an Earth-like planet. It's 99% of the size of the Earth. So almost exactly the same size as the Earth. Can you go back to the spectroscopic data?
Yes.
It's just something I wanted to say about that. So they've analysed the atmosphere of this exoplanet, and this is a first for the James Webb. It's the first exoplanet that it's detected by using the transit method, which we'll see on the next slide. And they've analysed the atmosphere of this planet. And they found that it hasn't got one. They can't detect an atmosphere, or if there is one, it's of a type that we don't recognise. And you can see here that the data points are clustering around the featureless model, which is the horizontal line going through it. It doesn't fit the methane model, and it doesn't fit the carbon dioxide model. So they're not quite sure what we're looking at. They think actually it indicates an absence of an atmosphere, but it could be a type of atmosphere that we've never seen before. So that's quite exciting too.
Right. So,
and there you have the light curve.
Yes.
Not only do we see the light curve here, but also something I wanted to point out is you see at the bottom the date says time in Baltimore, where the Space Telescope Institute is, and it's on the 31st of August 2022, and it just goes to show that there is still a hell of a lot of data that hasn't been pushed out out into the public as the scientists are processing and all the rest. So this is
yes, and of course don't forget that a lot of this is proprietary data, which there are agreements about to delay the release of. So that the scientists at the universities who made the observations have got a chance to analyse the data before anybody else, which is only right, of course. So Daz says transit drop it off very sharp, so little if no atmosphere. Yeah, possibly, Daz. Maybe, but this is exactly how the majority of planets are detected now, by the planet passing in front of their star and the lights dipping. Now that lights dip is not very much. It's usually only about 1% of the starlight that's blocked out by that planet. It's a tiny amount, And it's amazing that these detectors can actually detect a drop in light intensity of 1% or less. But that's how we're detecting most exoplanets these days.
Yes.
So there we are. Fantastic.
Actually, talking about that, Andy, have you heard back from the TRAPPIST? Because last time you mentioned that the latest data showed that there were no atmospheres within the TRAPPIST exoplanets that Webb had observed. Have we heard back more from that?
No, we've heard nothing since, Bernard.
Yeah,
So,
I've been trawling the web on that, and I couldn't find anything else. I just wanted to know if
no, but I mean, the data isn't officially to be released until autumn this year. So we'll have to wait till the autumn until they actually release the data, because again, it's proprietary data. So it was just, they announced an initial sort of skimming of the data to see what they could see. It doesn't mean that there aren't atmospheres. It just means that the initial skimming of the data didn't seem to find anything.
Yeah. Some of the data there is released immediately. So some were part of the general observation. Those are.
Yes, that's right. But the full data set won't be released until the autumn. So.
Yeah. Right. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's what I've got for this week's presentation.
Well, thank you very much for that, Roger. Brilliant as always. Thank you so much.
Roger's moon images are just the absolute best. The colour balance on them, they're not over sharpened. They're just chef's kiss, as the kids would say. They're so beautiful.
Well, Roger, I was actually going to ask you this, as Mary mentioned it.
Yes.
What do you actually do with your moon photos? Because they should be in a gallery somewhere, for goodness sake.
Well, I've just noticed in the new February Sky at Night magazine that the International Astronomy Photographer of the Year competition is about to open. So maybe I'll post something in there.
Yeah, good idea. You should. You definitely should.
Maybe. I did ask Rachel, and she says, "Nah, the standard's too high for me."
No, rubbish.
I did tell her she should.
Absolutely.
Well, look, Roger. One of your moonshots is the wallpaper of my laptop. So at least you have
your background on Restream.
Yes,
that's true. That's true. Well,
yes,
I didn't want to compete with your new ones. You see.
Oh, all right then.
And Roger, one of your moonshots is my actual wallpaper. So I've stuck it up there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, we love your moonshots, Roger. They are superb and well done. And Mary, speaking of a chef's kiss, I learned this week that there is a proper name for a chef's hat. Do you know what the name of a chef's hat is?
No.
This is completely nothing to do with astronomy, but as you mentioned, chef, it's called a toque, Toque, which is actually an Arabic word. And the 100 folds in a chef's hat represent the 100 different ways to cook eggs. So it's true. It's true. There we are. Just a bit of irrelevance there for you.
Okay. So Daz said, "Can you let him in, please?"
No.
Okay.
All right, Daz. Here's Daz.
Hey, he's back.
Hey, here he is again. It's the proverbial bad penny. Welcome back, Daz. Glad you could join us.
Yeah,
temporary. So
and let's let our viewers also know that unfortunately Lou couldn't make it today, and Kareem is still unwell.
Kareem is still unwell, so we send our best wishes to Kareem.
Yeah,
because he's not been well since before Christmas. So we do send our best wishes to you, Kareem, if you're watching, which we hope you are, of course. And if you're not, don't come back. So yes, we send our best wishes to you. Hope to see you soon with some more constellation stories, which we've had quite a few requests for. And speaking of requests, well, not really requests, but something that we're going to be doing here on Space Oddities very soon. We're going to have another quiz, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land and Facebook land. We did a quiz back in the summer, and I just realized the other day we hadn't done one since, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. So we're going to put a quiz together so you can get your thinking caps on, and we'll be doing that very soon. And maybe not next week, but perhaps the week after. So if you want to know what's going on in the meantime, we will be posting all the details, of course, on our Facebook page. And we'd obviously like to say hello to the people watching us on our Facebook page and on the Astronomy Ireland Facebook page. Hello over there in Ireland. Thank you for joining us. So where are we going to go now? Well, as Lou's not here, I think what I'd like to do is just move things around a little. Firstly, I think what I'd like to do is come to Mary. Mary, you've got something to tell us. And then I think we'll do a little bit of society stuff. And then Bernard, you can do your presentation, and then we can spend the time remaining chatting about that. What about that? Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good to me.
Right, Mary, what's going on?
You should have the presentation there now.
I will just put it up on the screen.
A total of 1 slide. So if you've ever wanted to learn how to do astronomy sketching, and I really urge you to please come along and try this, we're doing a free sketching workshop on Zoom on Tuesday the 7th of February at 6:30. We've done it at 6:30 p.m. UK time so that children can get involved as well, so it can be a whole family thing. And please don't say I can't draw a stick man, because you don't need to draw a stick man. You need to draw a lunar crater and a sunspot and probably a deep sky sketch as well. So the way that I do this is I have a second camera pointing at my hands and I draw along with you step by step. So it just breaks it down into easy to follow chunks. I will be screen sharing a photograph and we'll be copying that together. And all you need is some printer paper or whatever white paper you happen to have, any pencil. You don't need to go out and buy drawing pencils, just whatever you have at home, a pencil eraser, and to do a bit of blending, just a cotton bud or a Q-tip, whatever you call them where you are. And that's all you need. And I will take you through step by step. And honestly, even if you only do this one time, I guarantee it will make you a better visual observer, because I think everybody should try sketching at least once, because you have to really, really look at something to try to draw it. And it's just really good fun, very relaxing, and it's just great. So I really hope that loads of you will come and join in with this, including the panel.
Well, I'll give it a go, Mary, for you.
I'm in as well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
yeah, the number of people that are kind of, oh, I can't draw anything, and at the end of it, they're so happy with what they've created. We all have the ability to do this. I'm not a genius at this. It's just following basic steps. That's all I do. And absolutely anybody. Yeah, Ian, if you want to use charcoal pencils at home, then if you've got them, by all means use that. Normally I just use pencil and printer paper because that's what everybody already has. Unless you're already a little bit into art, you're not likely to have the pastels. But I will show you in a quick time lapse how I draw with pastels on black paper, and you might like the results of that better, so you can then decide if you want to go out and buy the stuff. So yeah, it's just fun. It's not a competition. Everybody is welcome. So yeah, please come and join in.
And that will be on our Space Oddities channel on YouTube on Tuesday the 7th of February at 6:30 p.m. I'm afraid because it's being done over Zoom, we can't connect back to Facebook. So I'm afraid our Facebook viewers won't be able to see it on Facebook. But you can see it live on our YouTube channel, and I'm sure we'll all look forward to that. I might even drag my daughter along to do it because she loves drawing and sketching. So there might be the two of us doing it. So, you know, as Mary said, even if you think you've got no artistic ability, like me, I can't even draw the curtains. So, you know, I've got absolutely no ability with drawing whatsoever, never have had. But I'm looking to Mary to show me otherwise. So if she does that, I will be well chuffed. So there we are. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Mary. We should look forward to that. Just to reiterate that Tuesday, the 7th of February at 6:30 p.m. We will, of course, be posting the details and reminders on the Facebook page. So keep an eye out for that. And let's hope we get lots of people taking part. And thank you for doing it, Mayor. Yes, Bernard.
Sorry, maybe you mentioned it. I sort of slipped through, but how long does it last?
About an hour.
About an hour. Okay.
About an hour.
Cool.
Okay. Fantastic. All right then. So that's that to look forward to. And yes, let's hope we get many people taking part. And if it proves to be popular, Mary, perhaps you might consider doing further ones. So
definitely.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to do something a bit different now. Now, you may remember from last week, or maybe not, that I was saying that we want to, this year at Space Oddities, we really want to help out astronomy societies and clubs, not just in the UK, but anywhere they might be, because, the whole landscape is changing. Getting people to go out to meet astronomy meetings in the evening is getting more difficult. People have digital distractions at home, and we know that it can be difficult for astronomy societies and clubs to find new members and keep them. So we'd like to help you out this year. So if you are a member of an astronomy club or society, if you've got any events going on that you'd like to tell people about, or if you would just like to come on the show and chat about your society, whatever you've got going, whatever you would like to do, just drop us an email at spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. By the way, that's the same address. I'm not sure if you mentioned it, Mary. That's the same address to register for the sketching workshop. So for the sketching workshop as well, drop an email to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com and tell us the details of your society. And we'll be only too happy to promote it, doing our bit to help out astronomy clubs and societies. And speaking of which, this week we have a featured society, which is the Hartford Astronomy Group. And back in 2015, they produced a video as part of the astronomy show about their astronomy group. So let's have a look at that.
For this week's Society Focus, we've come to the Hartford Astronomy Group, and tonight they've got a lecture about radio astronomy. Now it's cloudy and wet out here, so let's go inside and meet them.
My name's Alan Willison. I'm the Programme Secretary for the Hartford Astronomy Group, and that job involves getting the speakers to come along to the meetings. My job is to try and create a programme that's going to appeal to the wide variety of interests that happen in astronomy.
So, I mean, that sounds like probably quite a lot of work, is it? If you try and get someone, what every month?
Yes.
Come along to the society?
Yes, for 10 months of the year.
Wow.
We try to get a speaker for each of the meetings. We're very lucky that we've got the University of Hertfordshire nearby, and they've got an extremely good astrophysics section. The technical format of our evening is that we have a speaker who talks for an hour, and then when they finish, then we go outside and do some observing.
So you say technical,
In reality, that
optimistic as well a little bit.
That's right. It does happen, actually. It's happened on 2 occasions in the 10 years I've worked with the group. No, on average, it's 1 or 2 evenings we manage a year.
What did you think of tonight's show then? Was it?
Yeah, it was really interesting. There were bits I didn't understand, but there were bits that I found really interesting.
And are you the one who's interested? Because I gather from your dad.
Yes.
Is he the one who's interested?
No, I've kind of dragged him along with me because, I'm very interested in astronomy and I'd like to learn more.
Is it converting him? That's the big question. Obviously, you've got the passion, which is great, but is it converting your dad at all?
He seems interested.
Okay.
I think he's starting to become more interested in astronomy.
He is a little bit.
That's great.
And is it you who are interested, or is it your dad and he just dragged you along?
No, it's me who's interested.
So you're the one who's interested in astronomy. So have you got a telescope of your own, or
Yeah.
you have? What sort is it? Can you remember?
It's Celestron Omni XLT 360.
Okay. So it's a good quality one. And what have you seen through it so far?
I've seen like close-up stars
Right.
and the moon and
Have
the
you seen
craters.
planets yet? Have you seen Jupiter? Or?
Not yet.
So you need to get up really early tomorrow morning so you can see Jupiter and Venus. over in the east. So I think you need to get up at about 4 o'clock. It's not too early, is it? You can manage that, can't you?
Yeah.
You'll be fast asleep, won't you?
For practical observing sessions, we try to set up also on the open evenings at Bayfordbury. They've got their 7 domes with their 14-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescopes, or Maxitov, I'm not quite sure. They have them set up on targets. We set our telescopes up outside. Now, by our telescopes, that's anything from a £20 telescope somebody's bought at the Oxfam shop.
Oh, quite a range then.
Absolutely. Frequently get people coming out of the domes and saying, having looked through our telescope and being amazed at what you can achieve.
So have they ever said it's better than the ones in the dome?
Yes, they have.
Excellent. That's what we want to hear, isn't it? That's what we want to hear. And I presume these kind of things are well received. Everyone seemed to be a real buzz here tonight.
Yes.
So do you get a lot of regular people coming back, and do you get a nice flux of new people coming in?
Yes, we've got a membership of, I believe it's approximately 50 paid up annual members. And then we have the casuals who come in. But again, we try to make it clear that we're not a group of boffins. We have got some extremely clever people amongst our group, as you can tell from the questions at the end of it. But similarly, the person who just has a casual interest in astronomy or the night sky is as welcome, and we hope that they feel as comfortable. But the casual visitor, yes, come and try it. If they like it, come and try it again and make sure they like it.
And then you lock the door so they can't get out
That's
again.
it.
Until they
Yes,
pay the
they're
money.
not getting any further.
Andy, you're muted. I think we've all muted ourselves.
Yes. So that was the Hartford Astronomy Group, and they look a friendly bunch indeed, and it's nice to see Mark Thompson there as well. Good, always good to see Mark. So Alan's joined us, and Alan is actually wants to point out. Alan Willison at Hartford has joined us, and he says the video is a bit out of date as it was made a few years ago. Alan is now the chairman. We have formed our own astrophotography group, Hagas, and we have some fantastic imaging going on. So let me just put up the address here. You can see the Hartford Astronomy Group on their Facebook page, and their web address is www.heartsastro.org.uk. And good luck to Hearts Astro, and we're happy to show that video for you. And if you have any other events that you'd like us to promote, we'll be more than happy to do so. And as I said, if you are a member or an official of an astronomy club or society, and you would like to tell us what's going on with your society, drop us an email at the usual address. That is to say, spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. Now then, Bernard is now going to tell us something about some upcoming planetary missions. Are you not, Bernard?
I am, and I wanted this presentation to be. No, I'm not going to do a presentation on sketching. And
no, you're quite. Are you sure about that?
I leave that to Mary. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a wise move. So let's try that one then. There we are.
There we go. Yeah. So I wanted to sort of do a quick recap on especially NASA's planetary exploration program. So those are the robotic missions that NASA sends out into our solar system to do in situ observations and such forth. And I'd really like to have sort of a panel discussion on this, because there's been a lot of changes recently, and I just, for myself, I just wanted to try and get a clear head on which mission is being delayed and why and what not, and what mission to look forward to. I definitely would like our viewers to be part of this. So if you do have questions or comments about any of the missions we're going to be talking about, please do so. And it's now this is a topic that our panelists are very very knowledgeable on. So I definitely would like to have conversations there as well. It's unfortunate that Daz dropped out again for technical reasons.
Oh, okay.
Because let's try and get him back in as well. Okie dokie. So with that said, first of all, I wanted to have I did this table. Let me just do this. Here we go. I did this table. Maybe Andy, maybe you can make the table bigger, or just remove
Yeah, certainly, I can do that.
our beautiful faces.
With my magic wand, we can do that like that.
There we go. So this table, I wanted to do a snapshot of last year. So last year, things were looking pretty good. NASA's planetary mission program overview would look like this. So basically, you have the sort of three categories of NASA's mission. You have the Discovery class, which is a series of small planetary missions, that are selected and funded by NASA. It was established in 1992, and generally there's a cost cap per mission of $450 million. That excludes the launch vehicle missions operations, and the cadence of these missions is like once every 3 years. And it's been quite successful since 1992. There's been a lot of great missions that have been launched. Of course, at the moment we still have LRO, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and InSight, which unfortunately met its end. I think last month. The platform on Mars, and then of course we have the Lucy spacecraft, which is going to go and observe the Trojans of Jupiter. So when I wrote here the current missions in this table, is the current missions that are being planned and being built upon and designed at the moment, not the current missions that are in space. And so the current missions last year were, Psyche, which was supposed to launch at the end of 2022, and with Janus, these are sort of piggybacking on this mission, and these were sort of nano satellites. Then there's Mega, and this is the MMX, the mission to Mars, from the Japanese Space Agency, which is planned to launch in 2024. The reason I put this here is because NASA's Discovery program they're building one of the instruments for this mission. And then, of course, we had the two missions to Venus, Da Vinci Plus and Veritas, which are both Discovery missions, which were selected recently. Veritas supposed to launch in 2027, and Da Vinci Plus in 2029. We can already see with this view that this cadence of, one mission every 3 years is sort of slipping slightly. It seems like he was already delayed, and then there was nothing planned further out. But anyway, that was the situation. And then we have the New Frontiers mission right below, and these are sort of your mid-size mission, 850 million cap from a cost point of view, and the cadence is one mission every 5 years.
We should point out, Bernard, that these are purely NASA launches. These do not include European missions like JUICE and others.
Absolutely. Yes, this is NASA planetary missions. And so, of course, from New Frontiers, the most famous mission is the New Horizons, the first one, which was launched in 2006. And then we had Juno, we had OSIRIS-REx, and at the moment we have Dragonfly, this amazing quadcopter that is going to go to Titan, and the initial launch date was 2026. And again, the cadence of these missions has not followed through with what was expected initially of those 5 years, one mission per 5 years. And then of course you have these big flagship missions, which includes Cassini and all the rest. And at the moment, NASA was currently working on the Europa Clipper, planned to launch in 2024, which is this amazing flyby mission that is going to go to go and explore, do flyby observations of Europa on multiple orbits. And the Mars sample return, which is still being worked upon. And NASA, of course, is working with the European Space Agency with that. And as far as I can tell, there's no clear launch date on that. Andy, you might have more information. You always seem to have more information than me on that. But from the Mars sample return mission, I think they're still working out the design.
Yes, I haven't heard anything recently about that.
And so that was the beginning of last year. Everything looked quite good. And then you had a planetary decadal survey that came out, and this is amazing. This is the report that NASA generally uses in order to plan their missions ahead, and it's sort of to guide NASA and the policymakers behind NASA who are funding NASA as to where you need to put the focus on. As a reminder, the Decadal Survey comes out every 10 years, and it's sort of a community-led document where we're trying to understand exactly, where should the focus be in terms of planetary exploration. So anyway, that came out in April. It was, it was great. We could do a whole show about this document. There's so much to go through. Yeah, we should. And basically, there were a few recommendations. The planetary decadal noted, of course, that the cadence of these missions were starting to drop. They realized that it was mainly due to budgetary reasons. So they recommended a 20 to 40% increase in budget for both the Discovery programs and the New Frontiers programs, which basically they were just saying to congressmen, we need to fund, the planetary exploration of NASA more. So again, this is just advisory. This is not pushed into law. The congressmen, the people who have the money, will take this into account and determine how the budget goes. But it is a very influential document. So seeing the Decadal Survey recommending these huge budget increases was definitely a positive step. And in terms of their flagship recommendation, you had this big, amazing announcement about the fact that they put the Uranus orbiter and probe mission at the forefront. That was their main priority, which, this is a flagship mission that would cost over $4 billion and would be launched in the 2030s. And of course, the Mars sample return was still, as well, one of the top priorities. And the last priority for them in terms of a big flagship mission would be an Enceladus Orbilander, which would be arriving in 2050, and that mission, which is a fascinating mission as well, would, of course, as the name indicates, have the orbiter and the lander to go and explore Enceladus. And so that's where we were in May, really. Things were looking quite good, good recommendations, great missions going ahead. What could go wrong, right? Well, suddenly things started to go wrong. Dragonfly started to announce that they were going to have a 1-year delay. They said it was mainly due to COVID and other external factors. But then there was a big hiccup with Psyche, which ran into a serious delay. And that forced NASA to have an independent review. And the report was published in November, and you probably all remember, it was quite shocking in a way. It said that JPL could not fulfill the mission cadence, and it was mainly due to staff issues. There was a lot of turnover of staff. Staff were leaving. The institutional culture and knowledge was being lost, and they just basically couldn't keep up with this loss in terms of how to build spacecraft. And unfortunately, this had a really knock-on effect on what we're currently expecting from a NASA point of view on the planetary mission. So I've done this final report, this final update. So basically, Psyche was delayed by a year. We all know now that it's planning to be launched in 2030. November, October of 2023. So this year. That unfortunately had the impact that the Janus, that mission that was supposed to piggyback on Psyche, has been cancelled now. It doesn't mean that they're just not going to launch it. They might piggyback on another mission. Nevertheless, that's not going to take place. Da Vinci Plus has not been impacted so far. It's still planning to go ahead in 2029. However, Veritas has been shifted by 3 to 4 years. Instead of 2027, it's going to be launched in 2031. And again, that's because they need to shift the staff around. There's just not enough staff to work on these missions, and to ensure that these missions are going to be launched accurately and correctly. Hence why Veritas has to be moved by 4 years. And that's really a bummer because, of course, these missions, they work better when they always work together, because they can collect, even though Da Vinci Plus and Veritas are observing different parts of Venus, having them both observing the planet at the same time, you can sort of cross-reference the data. So it's always better to have them sort of operating as close as possible at the same time. Anyways, and then as I mentioned, Dragonfly, has been pushed by a year, 20 2027. So that's a bit of a bummer. And unfortunately, there are rumors, and this is just rumors, and it hopefully is not true. But I have seen things where people have been saying maybe Europa Clipper might be delayed due to, again, this problem at JPL of just having not enough staff. The Mars sample return might be delayed as well. Again, these are unverified, just rumors. Who knows? So the future looked really bright and positive last year. And now, it's still looking bright because, you still have these amazing missions that are being funded. It's just a delay because JPL, just had issues in terms of keeping their staff. But it just goes to show that these missions are extremely complicated to build and make, and one you just need one mission to start to be delayed and to have a whole knock-on effect on everything, given the complexity of it all. So there you go. I just wanted to see the evolution of NASA's planetary mission program, in the last 12 months, really, and where we are now, and I just wanted to share it to our viewers because I think it would be, it is quite interesting to see how these things change and develop. So there you go. Any comments or questions on this?
Thank you very much, Bernard. Just a couple of things out of this. Of course, we've got the Europa Clipper, but of course, Europe are launching JUICE.
Yes.
And can anybody remember when JUICE is going to be launching? Because I thought it was about the same time as the original date for Europa Clipper, wasn't it?
No, JUICE is launching this year. The launch window is the 8th to the 10th of April, in a few months.
Oh, as soon as that, I thought it was later than that. Oh, there we are then. So, because there's a delay with the Europa Clipper, we have got JUICE to look forward to, the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, which is going to study 3 of the 4 Galilean moons. Io, of course, is not remotely icy. It's exactly the opposite. It's the most volcanic body in the solar system. So we have got that to look forward to if there are any problems with the Europa Clipper. And the European Space Agency generally is good about meeting launch windows. They don't seem to have the problems that certainly JPL do at the moment. So we've got that. And the other thing, does anybody know what Dragonfly is actually launching on? What they're going to use to launch it?
A rocket, I think.
Well, Daz, thank you for that. Daz is back. Let me just turn him off again. I'll just boot you out again. You thought it was the ladies doing it, and it was me all along. strokes evil moustache.
I thought it was SpaceX.
I was just ruminating on what the launch vehicle might be for that, because it'll need to be something big, won't it? Because Dragonfly is the size of a car, so it's quite a large payload.
Yeah, it says to be announced. So
there we are.
We're still working on it.
That old chestnut. Yes, so this report that came out about JPL have acted on immediately, and they've already trying to get lots of changes in place. One of the problems has been that private space companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin, they're offering senior engineers at JPL a lot more money, and they've lost quite a few senior engineers to the private sector, as it were. That's been one of the problems at JPL. You could turn around and say, we'll pay them more money, but of course it's not quite as simple as that, probably. So this is one of the reasons why JPL have had problems. It's a real shame that it's having these knock-on effects on so many missions.
Yeah, because the original problem is that when they had one company building, I can't remember the name of them offhand, but they had one company building the actual computer system, and of course NASA were building the actual probe itself. And what they did is, when the computer was ready to be tested, they took it to NASA, where it was going to be put onto a test bed, not onto the actual probe itself, to be tested to make sure all the systems work. And they found that basically they couldn't connect, and they couldn't talk to each other. And this is why the investigation was actually held originally, as to why these sort of problems can happen. And of course, as you said, JPL have taken everything. I mean, the actual report was quite scathing about the whole system. And JPL accepted everything. There was no finger pointing. There was no. They didn't play the blame game. And immediately they took action and they started to change things. I mean, one of the most amazing things is there was no one person overseeing the whole project. And as has been said before, there was no communication channel for things to be brought up. The ethos was wrong. Is if anybody came across a problem, it became a situation where you had to prove there was a problem before anybody further up the food chain would actually look at it. And of course, and then as they said, and one of the big things was the COVID. And the fact that people were working from home, they carried on working, but they lost the interaction between people themselves, the face-to-face interaction, the casual conversations where issues could be discussed. So it all totally disappeared. But they've taken it all on board. They're trying their hardest. I mean, they're pretty confident with the launch date later this year. Unfortunately, I just wish some other departments in the NASA whole situation would take note, because this is a situation that whenever there's an overrun, a delay, they all have they have an investigation, which is immediately kicked off, and you see the same things coming forward all the time. I think they just have to take it. The whole corporate, the whole institution needs to take a step back, reorganize itself, and let's get these things running on time. Of course, another thing is that you've got Congress, which have got they hold the purse strings. So it's just one of these things. And but JPL are pretty confident they're going to launch like in 2023. I think it's October, and they're pretty confident that that's actually going to go ahead now. So hopefully they've sorted everything out. But as you said, it kicked Veritas back into the long grass, and it's been delayed for another 4 years.
It's a shame.
So it's a shame, but
and let's not forget that Mars Climate Observer, which was launched 20 years ago, and actually more than that, failed because there was a lack of integration between Lockheed Martin and another contractor in relation to the metrics. One was using the Imperial units, and the other was using the metrics, and that definitely goes to show that, as Ian McIntyre said on the post here, it's important to get things right rather than to get things wrong, and this is how it is. It's the good thing to do, right? It's just disappointing because of course last year it was looking good.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those younger viewers who might not appreciate what JPL is all about, JPL has been responsible for sending all of the missions to the planets. They have built the spacecraft, they have managed the missions, and JPL is legendary. And when you think about all this marvelous exploration of the solar system we've seen over the past few decades with Voyager, Galileo, Cassini, etc., New Horizons, these are all products of JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And it's so sad to see them having real problems, struggling to meet launch windows and to get projects finished. I was also reading, Daz, from what you were saying about the project, that people at JPL were expected to work on several different projects at the same time, and they never knew where they were, what they were doing from 1 minute to the next, instead of staying in a dedicated team to work on one spacecraft. These are all management problems, and these can be overcome. What must be more worrying to JPL is bleeding staff to the private sector. that cannot be replaced, especially the experienced one. There's no replacement for experience, as we know. So let's hope that they can work their way through this. And
it's a bit like having all their eggs in one basket.
Yes.
In the past, you had the NASA Ames Research Center, which did build the Pioneer probes.
Yes.
And I thought that was quite healthy. In the 60s,
Yes.
they had these two,
that's
sort of
right.
entities building these space missions, and for some reason, and of course there must have been good reasons, they put everything back at JPL. And yeah, I really hope that there might be some healthy competition out there that will be able to reinvigorate the industry and keep these missions on track.
Well, I think the competition, and not just in planetary missions, but generally comes from the private sector in terms of jobs. So that's something they'll have to work out, because if they can't keep their top engineers, and they haven't got the money to pay them more or equal to what the private sector are offering, who knows what they could do. It's a bit sad, really. We need more engineers in the world. That's what we need. So I would thoroughly recommend any child or any youngster thinking of going into engineering to go into aerospace engineering, because it must be the most rewarding of careers. To build spacecraft and to see them exploring the solar system. I mean, what more could you want from your career, So,
well, it's interesting because there's been obviously a push towards STEM subjects, and recently that's been changed to STEAM to include art, because if you don't have any creativity in your brain, you can't design a spaceship or the hardware for it to go on. So the creative side is just as important as the science and the math side. So I think it's great that now in schools and stuff, they're pushing STEAM rather than just STEM.
Right. Well, yes, I mean, because there is this crossover all the time between art and science, isn't there?
Always.
Yeah.
Isn't that why they got Juno wrong, right? Where the main mission was a Fields mission, and it's only at the last minute it's like, oh, hold on, we need to stick a camera out there because we're going to go and visit Jupiter. That's going to take nice images, right?
So glad they did.
Yeah, well, they did. But you see, what was appreciated, I think, is that the general public, especially the American public who fund all these things, they want to see these nice, pretty images. They don't want to send spacecraft to other worlds that are not going to take nice, pretty pictures. And that's very important, from the artistic side, because citizen scientists can download the images and process them and, do wonderful things with them, which was unthinkable just a few years ago. Imagine during the Voyager years, if people had been able to do that, what images we might have seen coming out of that. And don't forget that we've got the Dear Moon mission coming up from SpaceX, which is going to fly a group of artists around the moon. And that's due in a couple of years. They've got to get Starship working first, obviously. But, the first thought was to send artists around the moon and see what they might come up with. So it is very, very important, especially for people.
Mary, I'm disappointed you were not selected, by the way.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I know. But the definition of artist has been expanded a bit, because they've now got a DJ and a rapper going along who are arguing that they're artists. But strange new things come out of these things quite unexpectedly. I think that's quite
well. As you said about the cameras on the probes, and people want to see the pretty pictures. That was proven last week when Lou was doing his presentation, and all you saw was a squiggle on a graph, a little bit of a tick. Yes, that wasn't inspiring at all to the general public and all that, but it held so much information. Once you started to analyze it, and this is what it is: you need to keep people's imaginations going, because a lot of the data, as you said, is uninteresting to look at. And for the layman, so yeah, they definitely need cameras on these things.
I wasn't actually aware of the Psyche mission at all, and having just had a quick read of it, it's really interesting, and I can imagine that's not handled well in the PR department. It's like, why are you going to yet another lump of rock in the asteroid belt?
It's a lump of metal.
Interesting metal asteroid, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's going to
Well-
tell us so much about the formation and what was going on in the early solar system, and that is so important.
It is.
I mean, they think it's the core of a failed planet, which has been formed millions and billions of years ago, and it's been pummeled, and all you've got left now is this core. And they think it's full of all these precious metals, which, if they could mine them, I think it was something like 8. Is it eight? What do they call it, Andy?
Well, it's reckoned the total value of those metals is more than the total value of the world's economy is worth. So,
yeah,
so it's $8 quadrillion or something.
Quadrillion, that's right.
Yeah,
quadrillion.
$8 quadrillion, I think.
Yeah.
I hope they're going there to do the science and not the mining.
No, they're definitely going for the science initially, but my God, think of all that mining they could do.
But they've done further surveys, and they think it could be honeycombed, and it won't be such as solid as it. This is why we need the mission to go there and find out for us. They have taken, they have got images of it. They've been not close-up images, but radar images. So they got a rough idea of its size, of its shape.
They know it's cratered. There were a few.
Sounds like a perfect mission for Bruce Willis and his mining crew.
Oh no, stop it! Don't you stop. Bruce Willis. For goodness, Bernard, this is infecting people. You've got to stop. You know, your love affair with Bruce Willis.
I had nothing to do with this one.
But yeah, it's been in the planning for so long, this mission, and it's just so sad that at the last hurdle it virtually fell. But they're on top of it now, and hopefully we'll see it launch later this year. But we're not going to get results for a while. It's going to take a few years to get there.
Yeah.
Is that going to land, or is it just orbiting?
No, it's going to orbit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the High 2 mission, it was really interesting just how much rubble kicked up when they landed to grab a sample, wasn't it?
It was amazing.
They were not expecting that.
No, that's right.
Yeah, just a tad.
Anyway, time is getting on, my good people. So I'd just like to say thank you to Bernard for that very interesting presentation. I hope you'll keep us up to date with that, Bernard, if there are any changes and additions.
Positive changes.
Removals, I hope not. So thank you very much indeed for that. Just to finish, just a little bit of space news. SpaceX have finally received the FAA license for their first orbital attempt of the Starship. And this is Elon time we're talking, so, you know, large pinch of salt as always. But SpaceX seem fairly confident they'll be launching the Starship for its first orbital attempt in late February or early March. So not too long away now. This week they'll be doing more cryo testing of the B7 booster. Next week, probably, if all goes well, they will be doing the full 33 engine static fire test, and nobody, not even SpaceX, knows what's going to happen when they unleash the mighty power of 33 Raptor engines for the first time. Whether they will have a launch platform left after that remains to be seen, because this is the most powerful rocket ever built, and nobody knows what's going to happen. So we will be covering that launch live on Space Oddities, whatever time of the day or night it is. This is one that we will not want you to miss. So we hope you'll be with us for SpaceX's first orbital attempt. Why is this important? It's because the Starship will be the vehicle that land people on the moon for the first time in 50 years as part of the Artemis program, due to happen in a couple of years. SpaceX are busy developing a lunar version of the Starship, which will be a little different to the non-lunar version, the so-called normal version. So they are under contract from NASA. They're being paid billions by NASA to develop a lunar version of the Starship. So getting the Starship working and flying and proved is vitally important if SpaceX are to meet their commitments to the Artemis program. So let's see. Also in space news this week, you may remember a few weeks ago that there was a problem at the International Space Station with the Russian Soyuz spacecraft having a leak in its coolant system and spraying space with space snow. If you remember, we saw the video. And the plan now is for Russia to send up an empty Soyuz spaceship to dock at the ISS to take the astronauts home, to rescue them, if you like, although they're not in any danger at all. But this is the plan to get the astronauts back. The faulty Soyuz will be used to return to the Earth, but it will be carrying cargo and not people. So if it proves to be more damaged than they thought it was, then they'll only lose some cargo and not people. So that's the current plan. NASA and SpaceX have also been talking about possibly getting involved in this. But what's come out of that is the Russians have said, no, we can manage this one on our own. Thank you. Yeah. We're going to send an empty Soyuz up to bring the astronauts home.
Because they're also talking about extending the astronauts' stay at the ISS for quite a long time, actually, for several months, and cancelling the next mission up. They reckon that they're in a fit state to be able to do it. So that's that's what they're looking at. And also, when you talk about the 33 engine test on the Starship, I think we could end up seeing a big chunk of Texas in orbit. When they set that off.
It is known as the Lone Star State. So,
there it goes. Guys, I was brought up in Texas, so you need to be nice.
That would explain a lot. Now we know your infatuation with Bruce Willis. That's very good. Okay.
There's a special place in my heart for Texas, so be kind.
He speaks very highly of you, incidentally, Bernard. So there we
are. We're just going to do a quick update on what happened last week after we signed off.
Oh, yes, indeed.
From the launch,
We were very sad to hear the news that just a few minutes after we went off the air last week, when we were covering the launch from Cornwall, that the second stage failed to make it into orbit. Devastating, absolutely devastating. Yeah. And the latest on that is basically that something went wrong with the second stage engine. They haven't established what. Spaceport Cornwall say that they hope to mount another space launch before the end of the year, which sounds a long way away. But they're not letting anything put them off being Britain's first operational spaceport, and we wish them all the very best in Cornwall. And it was sad. The only slight problem is that Virgin Orbit are in quite serious financial trouble, because they needed this mission to succeed to demonstrate that they can launch from any airstrip in the world and put satellites into orbit. And the failure means that they failed to demonstrate this. Yeah. They've recently done a fundraising round, and they've managed to raise another 100 million, I think. But they really needed that mission to be a success for the future of not only Spaceport Cornwall, but for the future of Virgin Orbit itself. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. In any event, questions are being asked about whether launching rockets from the underside of a plane's wing is the most efficient way to put satellites into orbit. And is it the most cost effective? Because SpaceX undercut them quite considerably when it comes to the launch of small satellites. Apparently, Virgin Orbit have never released how much they charge their customers for launches, but apparently it's a lot more than SpaceX do. So, these are the questions that are being asked. But anyway, commiserations to Virgin Orbit. And
we've nearly worked, didn't it?
So near yet so far. It nearly got there. Incidentally, Daz, a couple of people saw the rocket falling back to Earth and burning up in the atmosphere.
Yeah. There is.
Do you know where from?
YouTube.
Do you know?
Lanzarote, Playa Blanca. Yeah, where I was.
Your holiday ground. So I thought.
Yeah, there is.
I wonder if Daz had anything to.
Yeah, there is a YouTube. There's a star cam that somebody's got set up in Playa Blanca, and they actually caught the launcher one burning up as it came back into the atmosphere. So yes, as I said, I was a couple of weeks too early, and also I think it was Dean as well. He was there as well, so
right.
it would have been nice if we'd been there. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it was such a shame. But of course, I mean, we've got a couple of and Ian McIntyre, that's Mayor, is brother-in-law, said an Amelie did it.
It's
So,
Anne again, was it?
yeah. So
Anne again.
Anomaly did it, yeah.
Anomaly did it, yes.
And C Fox said it could be a Scottish launch instead. So
yes, could be. It could be.
yeah.
But
A bit nearer to Ian.
yeah. So thanks for your comments, guys. Okay, let's wrap things up for tonight. We'd like to again thank our sponsor, RVO Optics, the very best shop to buy your optical equipment. And we'd like to thank you all so much for being here. We do appreciate you being here with us, and we have a lot of fun bringing you all this stuff. And don't forget, you can find us on Facebook. Just search for Space Oddities, and you'll find our Space Oddities page, which I was looking at yesterday. We've got just about 600 members now on our Facebook page, so that's
lovely.
fantastic. And thank you for all of our members of our Facebook page. And a big thank you again to Astronomy Ireland for letting us invade their Facebook page with our live streams. Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. We hope you're all well over there in Ireland and you're all happy. And we will be back, of course, the same time next week with more fun and frolics from the world of astronomy and space exploration. And we might well do a quiz next week if we can get ourselves together in time. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for more details of that. But in any event, even if you don't, just turn up next week with a pen and paper ready, and we will try our very best this week to put a quiz together for you, because the last one was a lot of fun. And yes, and Ian, thank you. I shouldn't need reminding of this, but thank you for reminding me, Ian. Subscribe and like, everyone, says Ian. Thank you very much, Ian. Well said.
Absolutely.
We've got him well trained.
Your subscriptions and in particular your likes wake the Facebook algorithm up and make it take notice of us. So if you could just spare a couple of seconds down there somewhere to like and subscribe, that would be much appreciated, because if we have more viewers, we can do more things, and we have more options open to us.
Yeah.
So
David's in a hurry. Yeah, sorry, David's in a hurry. He says, "Hurry up, the kettle's on." So,
okay, David, we will let you go and make your tea or coffee. All right then, guys, thank you so much for watching us again. We will be back same time next week with more stuff from the universe. Until then, have a fantastic week. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Keep looking up.
Bye.
Yeah, keep looking up. Keep looking up. Bye.